Welcome back.
By the end of this video, you'll have practical strategies you can implement at job sites, and you'll understand when to use each one. Let's start with the most powerful intervention: teaching replacement behaviors. Reinforcing alternative appropriate behavior. The most effective intervention in positive behavior support is reinforcing alternative appropriate behavior. This means teaching and reinforcing a new behavior that serves the same function as the challenging behavior, but is more appropriate. You're not trying to eliminate what the person needs. You're teaching them a better way to get it. Here's the principle. Behavior changes based on the consequences that follow the behavior. When we add a positive consequence after a behavior, that behavior is more likely to occur again in the future. That positive consequence is called a reinforcer. Often, a challenging or inappropriate behavior exists because the person does not know what to do in a given situation, or they have not been reinforced for the appropriate behavior in the past. So we ask, what behavior do we want to see in this situation? After we identify the appropriate behavior, we reinforce it when it occurs. This increases the appropriate behavior and, over time, decreases the challenging behavior. Example 1. Employee talking excessively to coworkers. Challenging behavior. Employee interrupts coworkers and talks at length, interfering with work. Function. Attention. They want social connection. When the employee waits until break time to talk with coworkers, reinforce it. I noticed you waited until break to catch up with Maria. That's perfect timing. You're teaching when and how social interaction is appropriate at work. You're not eliminating their need for connection. You're channeling it appropriately. Using incompatible behaviors. Sometimes you can assign tasks that are incompatible with the challenging behavior. An employee likes to wander the warehouse and talk to everyone instead of working. The function is attention and stimulation. Assign them a task that provides movement and interaction, delivering materials to different workstations. Now the wandering serves a work purpose and they get the stimulation and interaction they need while being productive. That's reinforcing an alternative behavior that's incompatible with unproductive wandering. Key points about reinforcement. Reinforce immediately. As soon as you see the appropriate behavior, reinforce it. Timing matters. Reinforce both prompted and unprompted correct behavior. Even if you had to remind them, reinforce the correct behavior when it happens. Use age-appropriate reinforcement. These are adults. Say things like, "Great work. I noticed you handled that really well," or "That's exactly what we need." Don't use stickers or prizes or anything that treats them like children. Be genuine. Fake enthusiasm is insulting. Authentic acknowledgement is powerful. Extinction. Extinction is a specific behavioral strategy that means withholding reinforcement by ignoring the behavior. Extinction is used when a behavior is maintained by the attention it gets from others. If the person is doing something to get attention, positive or negative attention, and you stop providing that attention, the behavior will eventually decrease or be eliminated. How extinction works. The person does the behavior. You do not react. No eye contact, no verbal response, no physical response. You act as if the behavior did not happen. When the attention is taken away, the undesirable behavior is reduced or eliminated. Extinction is often used in combination with reinforcing alternative appropriate behaviors. You ignore the challenging behavior and you reinforce the appropriate behavior. This combination is powerful. Example from workplace. An employee makes inappropriate comments during team meetings to get laughs and attention. Everyone reacts. Some laugh, some tell them to stop. Extinction plus reinforcement approach. When inappropriate comments happen, no one reacts. No laughter, no correction, just continue the meeting. When the employee contributes appropriately to the meeting, immediately acknowledge it. You're removing attention from inappropriate comments and directing attention to appropriate contributions. Critical considerations for using extinction in employment settings. Safety. First, some behaviors cannot be safely ignored. If the employee may injure themselves or others, extinction is not appropriate. You must intervene. Extinction burst. Research shows that when a behavior is first ignored, the frequency may escalate for several days. The person is testing to see if the usual consequence will happen. They might do the behavior more before it decreases. You have to be prepared for this. Employment risk. Unfortunately, ignoring inappropriate behavior may result in the person losing their job before the behavior is modified. In some employment settings, extinction is not realistic because the employer won't tolerate the behavior long enough for the intervention to work. Team coordination. Everyone needs to be on the same page. If you're ignoring a behavior but coworkers are still reacting to it, extinction won't work. The behavior is still being reinforced. When extinction is appropriate, the behavior is maintained by attention. The behavior is not dangerous. You have employer buy-in and coworker cooperation. You can tolerate the extinction burst. You're simultaneously teaching and reinforcing an alternative behavior. When extinction is not appropriate, the behavior is dangerous. The behavior will result in immediate job loss. Coworkers or supervisors will not cooperate with the plan. The behavior serves a function other than attention: escape, tangible, sensory. Extinction is a powerful tool, but it's not appropriate for every situation. Use it thoughtfully. Social disapproval consists of short statements informing the person that the behavior they're engaging in is inappropriate and it should stop. This is you saying, "No, stop," or "That's not appropriate," in a clear, direct way. Social disapproval is sometimes necessary in workplace settings because the behavior may have immediate consequences with the employer. You may need to interrupt behavior quickly for safety or professionalism. Some behaviors can't be ignored, but social disapproval must be done correctly to be respectful and effective. Guidelines for using social disapproval. Guideline 1. Say the person's name. This is especially important if there are several people nearby. Make sure they know you're talking to them. Amy, then the rest of your statement. Guideline 2. Say no, don't, or stop, and then identify the specific behavior. Be specific. Don't say, "Stop it," or "Don't do that." Say, "Amy, stop hitting Joe," or "Amy, do not turn the lights on and off." The person needs to know exactly what behavior you're referring to. Guideline 3. Use a firm tone of voice and talk directly to the person. Not angry, not emotional, firm and clear. You're providing information, not punishing them. Your tone should convey, "This is not appropriate," without being harsh or demeaning. Guideline 4. If possible, give the social disapproval only once. Don't repeat yourself multiple times. Say it once, clearly, then move on. If you keep repeating, "Stop that, stop that, stop that," you're potentially reinforcing the behavior with attention. Guideline 5. Often it's better to state the desired behavior rather than just disapproving. Instead of, "Jim, stop turning the lights on and off," say, "Jim, please leave the lights on." Instead of, "Mike, don't eat food off the floor," say, "Mike, please throw the dirty food away." Stating what you want them to do is clearer and more constructive than just saying what not to do. Example from job coaching. An employee starts raising their voice at a supervisor during feedback. Social disapproval. "Marcus, lower your voice. We don't yell at supervisors here." Then redirect to appropriate behavior. If you're frustrated, you can ask for a break. Let's take a few minutes and talk about this. You stopped the inappropriate behavior and taught what to do instead. Chakra Segment 4. Data Collection. Here's a principle you need to understand. Without data, we don't know if our efforts are having the intended results. You might think things are getting better. You might feel like the behavior is improving. But without data, you're guessing. Data is the only objective way to evaluate the effectiveness of your plan. Why data matters in behavior support. Reason 1. Data guides the development of the support plan. Your ABC observations tell you what to address. Reason 2. Data is the only objective way to evaluate effectiveness. Feelings and impressions aren't reliable. Reason 3. Data tells you how and when to fade your support. When the data shows consistent improvement, you can step back. Reason 4. The target behavior in your support plan may not be the real concern. Data might reveal that other issues have greater priority. Data collection methods for behavior. You don't need complicated data sheets. Use the method that provides the needed information with the least amount of time and effort. Method 1. Frequency recording. Document each time a specific behavior occurs. You're counting how many times it happens. Example: an employee yells during their shift. You track frequency. Monday, 8 times. Tuesday, 7 times. Wednesday, 5 times. Thursday, 5 times. The frequency is decreasing. Your intervention is working. Method 2. Duration recording. Record how long a behavior lasts. Method 3. Interval recording. Record only if the behavior occurs during specific intervals of time. You check every 10 minutes to see if the behavior is happening right then. This gives you a representative sample without having to watch continuously. Method 4. ABC recording. Record what happens before and after each instance of the behavior. This is what you learned in Part 1. Use ABC recording when you're trying to understand the function of behavior. How to choose which method to use. If you need to know how often, use frequency. If you need to know how long, use duration. If the behavior is constant or frequent, use interval or time sampling. If you're trying to understand patterns, use ABC recording. Discuss your data with your supervisor. You shouldn't be making decisions about behavior interventions alone. Behavior support is a team effort. Review your data regularly with your supervisor. Discuss what's working and what needs to change. If the data shows the behavior is getting worse or not improving, the plan needs to be revised. Let's review what you learned today. First, reinforcing alternative appropriate behavior is the most powerful intervention. Teach a better way to get what they need and reinforce it consistently. Second, extinction means ignoring behavior that's maintained by attention, but it requires careful consideration and isn't appropriate for all situations. Third, social disapproval should be clear, specific, respectful, and focused on stating the desired behavior when possible. Fourth, data collection is essential. Without data, you're guessing. Use the collection method that fits the behavior and tells you if your plan is working. Critical reminder: you are not alone in this work. Behavior support is a team effort. The person-centered planning team, which includes the individual, their family, your supervisor, and other professionals, addresses behavior challenges together. Your role is to implement the strategies the team decides on, collect data, and report back on what's working. You should never be inventing interventions on your own without team input, and you should always involve your supervisor when a behavior threatens job retention. A behavior poses safety risks. Your current interventions aren't working. You need help understanding the function of behavior. Supporting employees with challenging behavior is some of the most important work you'll do as a job coach. When done well, you're helping someone keep their job, build relationships, and live a meaningful life. Remember, behavior is communication. Your job is to understand what's being communicated and teach better ways to communicate it.